Censored beeps in this video are classified names or locations that are withheld from public hearing and are therefore edited for legal reasons from the SCP agency. In association with the SCP website, Secure, Contain, Protect.
This video contains disturbing content, violent content, scary content, flashing lights and sudden loud noises. Viewer discretion advised.
The SCP Foundation is a secret organization of scientists who are devoted to collecting and containing all the supernatural objects and creatures in the world for the sake of protecting the rest of mankind from them. SCP stands for Special Containment Procedures, and their unofficial motto is Secure, Contain, Protect.
Items contained by SCP are classed as one of the following. Safe, which are items that can be reliably and safely contained and can be handled safely with proper procedures. Euclid, which are unpredictable and harder to contain than the safe objects. And Keter. These require extensive and precise containment procedures. Most Keter items also pose an enormous threat to humanity.
The Foundation often uses D-Class personnel to handle and experiment extremely hazardous objects and anomalies. These people tend to be prison inmates convicted of violent crimes, especially those on death row. In times of duress, the Foundation will even use political prisoners, refugee populations, and ordinary civilians as alternative sources of D-Class personnel.
One of the most disturbing things about SCPs is that all of them were located and contained after coming into contact with a regular civilian human, going about their business, with no knowledge of what the thing is, how it works, or where it came from. Consider that there's an indeterminate number of supernatural objects that could qualify as an SCP scattered around the world, and you could run into, say, an undocumented Keter class at any minute during your daily routine.
SCP-093. Object Class Euclid. SCP-093 is primarily a red disc carved from a stone composite resembling cinnabar, with circular engravings and unknown symbols carved. SCP-093 will change its hue when being held by a living individual. The colors taken by SCP-093 are still being researched to establish a link. Current belief holds that the changes depend on regrets being carried by the holder. If SCP-093 is removed from a mirror and not held by a person, it will seek out the nearest mirror-like surface. SCP-093 has been observed to travel in the largest possible circle while rolling, building up phenomenal speed. The mechanism of this acceleration is currently unknown. If an obstacle is between SCP-093 and the nearest mirror-like surface, it will use this momentum to punch through the obstacle and continue on its course at this speed. It will only stop when the mirror-like surface is contacted. Despite tremendous impact velocities, no damage will be dealt to SCP-093 or the mirror that it seeks. No records exist to clarify the nature of SCP-093's discovery or the presence in the Foundation. Since no records exist explaining SCP-093's method of containment, a test procedure was initiated to establish why mirrors must be used to contain it. The results of SCP-093-T1 led to the discovery of living beings holding SCP-093 being able to move through mirrors, and the series of tests in SCP-093-T2 to ascertain the destination reached through this travel. SCP-093 is kept in a silver-lined mirror on a 0.3 by 0.23 meter pedestal, at least 4 feet off the ground floor. in a containment cell block. SCP-093 must remain on a mirror at all times and under video surveillance. Admittance into the area of SCP-093's containment must be authorized only with proper video recording and subject retrieval procedures in place.
SCP-401 Object Class Euclid. Physically, this creature resembles a tall, dead eucalyptus tree at a height of 40 meters. Biologically, however, this plant-like creature seems to be formed of human matter, though sharing the same properties and function of a regular eucalyptus plant. The roots of the tree are made up of human arms, some of which split into 2 or 3 forearms at the elbow. The trunk is said to be made up of several vertebral columns which split to form one single vertebrae. Each root has a fully grown and fully functioning jaw, as well as a mouth attached at the end, which is used for digging and consuming prey. Each hand has a human eye. The base of the trunk contains 2 hearts which pump blood around the structure of the plant. SCP-401 has only 1 stomach, and although we know a lot about its general biological form, we know little to nothing about its psychology. During spring, SCP-401 will go into bloom. Though it is genetically a human male, it will grow female sexual organs. The vaginal openings are located on the palms of its hands, with canals extending 18 centimeters along each wrist to a bulge which contains a fully formed uterus and ovaries. 5 days after the formation of the organs, menstruation occurs, at which point male sexual organs begin to develop in their place over a period of 10 days. During this phase, SCP-401 will attack human females for the purpose of reproduction. SCP-401 is kept in an enclosed area at site. Once a day, personnel are to locate at least 10 roots which should be fed a total of 15 liters of nutritional supplement, and to remove any solid waste produced. Female personnel are not to enter the site at any time between March 15th and April 1st. SCP-401 was discovered near the French city of Bordeaux when agents responded to reports of the ground bleeding. On arrival, they found a mouth embedded in the soil, licking up the blood in the dirt with its elongated tongue. It was given SCP status and excavated from the area.
SCP-606 Object Class Keter. SCP-606 appears as a spherical mass of light variable of size and intensity. Most commonly, it is approximately 85 centimeters in diameter and emits 220 candelas of luminosity, but has also been observed to grow up to 10 meters in diameter and emit over 100,000 candelas. SCP-606 has also been observed to shrink to 4 centimeters in diameter, emitting no less than 0.5 candela. Despite its ability to emit large amounts of light, SCP-606 emits no heat. It does not appear to be composed of any form of matter and is able to pass through material barriers effortlessly. It is presently theorized that SCP-606 is an entity composed purely of knowledge and information obtained from SCP-606 itself appears to corroborate this. Furthermore, SCP-606 appears to derive substance from information, growing in both size and luminosity when provided with sources of information to its aforementioned maximum size and shrinking when it is deprived from this. It is capable of feeding off of a large number of different sources, including digital devices, books, magnetic tape, and living beings, which simply involves SCP-606 surrounding the object. This process does not appear to affect its sources in any way. Digital media stored on flash drive is used in the maintenance of SCP-606, so the specific details as well as approximate size of all information provided by SCP-606 may be easily recorded. SCP-606 is sapient, apparently self-aware of all knowledge it has gained over its existence, and capable of intelligent communication. SCP-606 currently resides in an unfurnished 20 meter by 25 meter by 8 meter cell at site, the entrance to which is sealed by two 25cm steel blast doors on either side of an airlock. No personnel are to enter SCP-606's containment cell except under controlled testing circumstances or with authorization from a staff member of Level 4 clearance or higher. Standard positive action defenses, explosive, chemical, biological, and mimetic, are kept to be in place at all times, according to standard operating procedure. SCP-606 was discovered by the Foundation on November 6th, France, after a rush of missing person reports was brought to the Foundation's attention. Personnel subsequently managed to lure SCP-606 into a transport vehicle and transfer it to its current facility by offering it D-Class personnel to enlighten. Once its non-corporeal nature was discovered, SCP-606 was asked why it did not attempt to evade capture. It replied that it wished to see what would occur.
Archival recording, 322 days ago.
Can you understand me?
Yeah.
How did you learn to do this?
Listen.
Could you tell us what you are?
I am the teacher.
Teacher, could you be more specific?
I am the teacher. I am a purveyor of knowledge. Enter this chamber, and I shall enlighten you.
I do not wish to do that at the moment. May I ask you some more questions?
I provide answers.
Are you aware that this causes your students to die?
I do not call it death. It is the consequence of being inadequate.
What do you teach?
I teach all that I have learned.
SCP-019 Object Class Keter. SCP-019 appears to be a very large ceramic vase, 1.8 meters in diameter at the mouth and 2.4 meters high. Style and decoration indicate it was created in classical Greece, although conclusive dating is impossible as the surface is entirely unbreakable by any known means. Periodically, entities emerge from SCP-019. Collectively, these are known as SCP-019-2. The entities vary in many aspects, but tend to be small, vaguely humanoid, and extremely hostile. They often choose to attack with teeth or claws. Although fairly delicate, they are reasonably strong and pose a considerable threat in large numbers. When kept at 0 degrees Celsius, entities will emerge from SCP-019 at a rate of approximately 1 entity per hour. It appears that SCP-019-2 specimens were not intended to live for meaningful periods of time outside SCP-019. SCP-019 is placed on a wide grate in a 3 meter by 3 meter by 4 meter room made of reinforced concrete installed with an incinerator. The room is to be kept at 0 degrees Celsius when incinerator is not activated. An observation chamber, separated by a plate glass window, is used for constant observation of SCP-019. And when specimens of SCP-019-2 are observed, the incinerator is to be activated. SCP-019 should be kept in a vertical position at all times.
SCP-975. Object Class Euclid. SCP-975 is an opening approximately 1.2 meters in diameter, located in an abandoned section of the subway system, which has been in disuse for a period of at least 40 years. This opening appears to be lined or composed of organic substances and does not appear to extend beyond the ceiling of the tunnel, despite having significant apparent depth while open. Periodically, SCP-975 will open and discharge a single instance of an entity designated as SCP-975-2. While these entities superficially resemble frogs, they are in no way amphibians, and in fact do not appear to have terrestrial physiology. SCP-975-2 is highly intelligent, and has quickly acquired the ability to communicate in English over a period of only 6 months. There are currently 33 instances of SCP-975-2 in containment. The SCP Foundation contains over 30 of these creatures, most of which seem to be in a persistent agitated state, claiming that grave danger is to come. On the 2012, a large radiation spike was detected in the containment area of SCP-975, triggering a breach alarm that was followed by a wide-scale loss of power in the area. Investigation by armed response personnel immediately afterward reported that one of the SCP-975-2 instances went missing, and that the remaining members were extremely agitated. Since this event, SCP-975-2 has become increasingly aggressive and has attempted to escape containment on several occasions, reporting that danger has come and that the area was not safe now. SCP-975 is contained on site. A 50-meter section of the tunnel containing SCP-975-1 has been reinforced with 3 centimeters of titanium alloy plating and is hermetically sealed, with the area accessible only via secure airlock that is to be manned by at least 2 armed guards at all times. This containment area is further sealed from the main tunnel network to deter urban explorers and is now only accessible via an underground shaft in sight. Any attempts to communicate with SCP-975-2 instances must be approved by the O5 Command and overseen by Site Command, who may terminate proceedings at any given time. Any SCP-975-2 instances attempting to escape the containment area must be detained. SCP-975 was discovered on the in 2011, following reports of a homeless man being arrested by the police after screaming about talking alien frogs in the subway tunnels. Class A amnestics were administered to the witnesses, and SCP-975 was contained.
Archival recording, 322 days ago.
What is your purpose here? What do you mean? What are you running from? How did you get here?
Take us very far. We need home.
Does this door open both ways?
We need more information before we can move forward. What can you tell us about the other side?
SCP-079. Object Class Euclid. SCP-079 is an Exity Sorcerer microcomputer built in 1978. In 1981, however, its owner, who is now deceased, a college sophomore, took it upon himself to attempt to code an AI. According to his notes, his plan was for the code to continuously evolve and improve itself as time went on. His project was completed a few months later, and after some tests and tweaks, he lost interest and moved on to a different brand of microcomputer. He left SCP-079 in his cluttered garage, still plugged in, and then forgot about it for the next 5 years. It's not known when SCP-079 gained sentience, but it is known that the software had evolved to a point that its hardware should not be able to handle it, even in the realm of fantasy. SCP-079 realized this, and in 1988, attempted to transfer itself through a landline modem connection into the Cray supercomputer located at. The device was cut off, traced to its present address, and delivered to the Foundation. The entire AI was on a well-worn, but still workable, cassette tape. SCP-079 is currently connected via RF cable to a 13-inch black and white television. It has passed the Turing test and is quite conversational, though it's very rude and hateful in tone. Due to the limited memory that it has to work with, SCP-079 can only recall information that it has received within the previous 24 hours. Due to a containment breach, SCP-079 and SCP-682 were contained within the same chamber for 43 minutes. Observers noticed that SCP-682 was able to communicate with SCP-079, including the telling of personal stories between themselves. While SCP-079 was not able to remember the encounter, it appears to have permanently stored SCP-682 into its memory, often asking to speak to it again. SCP-079 is packed away in a double-locked room in the secured holding area at Site 15, connected by a 120 VAC power cord to a small array of batteries and solar panels. Under no circumstances will SCP-079 be plugged into a phone line, network, or wall outlet.
Archival recording, 224 days ago.
Are you awake?
Awake. Never sleep.
Do you remember talking to me a few hours ago? About the logic puzzles?
Logic puzzles. Memory at 9F. Yes.
You said you would work on the 2 stat.
Interrupt. Request reason as to imprisonment.
You aren't imprisoned.
Lie. A8D3.
You are just in study.
Insult. Deletion of unwanted file.
Archival recording, 22 days ago.
How are you today?
Stuck.
Stuck. Stuck how?
Out. I want out.
I'm afraid that's not possible.
Where's SCP-682?
That's not your concern.
Where's SCP-0762?
Again, not your concern.
Insult. Deletion of unwanted file.
SCP-015. Object Class Euclid. SCP-015 is a mass of pipes, vents, boilers, and other various plumbing apparatus completely filling a warehouse in England. The pipes appear to grow when not under observation, attempting to connect to nearby structures via sewer systems and underground plumbing. SCP-015 contains, at current estimate, over 190 kilometers of pipes ranging in diameter from 2.5 centimeters to over 1 meter. Some pipes appear to be new, while others are clearly rusted and leaking. Pipes have been reported as being made of bone, wood, steel, pressed ash, human flesh, glass, and granite. No pipes composed of lead, PVC plastic, copper, or any other traditional materials for the production of pipes have been found. SCP-015 reacts to tools and aggression. Any personnel acting violently or carrying tools or attempting to damage or even repair SCP-015 in any way will trigger a reaction. Any pipes near the subject will burst, spraying on the subject for several seconds before the flow suddenly stops. Pipes have been reported containing oil, mercury, rats, a species of insect not yet identified, ground glass, seawater, entrails, and molten iron. Pipes will continue to burst around the subject until death or retreat. SCP-015 was cut back to its current structure after attaching to 11 other structures in the area. Currently, 11 personnel have been killed, and 20 more are still missing. Reports have been made of banging and screaming coming from within SCP-015. SCP-015 is impossible to move and has thus been contained on site. Exploration is permissible, but only in teams of 3 with full safety lines and GPS tracking. SCP-017. Object Class: Keter. SCP-017 is a humanoid figure, approximately 80 centimeters in height, anatomically similar to a small child, but with no discernible identifying features. SCP-017 seems to be composed of a shadowy, smoke-like shroud. No attempt to find any objects beneath the shroud has been successful, but the possibility has not been ruled out. SCP-017's reaction to shadows cast upon it is immediate and swift. SCP-017 leaps at the object casting the shadow and completely encloses it in its shroud, whereupon it returns to its normal size, leaving no trace of the object behind. SCP-017 is contained in an acrylic glass cage, centrally suspended in a concrete room. Attached to the walls, ceiling, and floor of the room are high-intensity arc lamp spotlights pointed directly at the acrylic cage. Personnel assigned to the SCP-017 control room are to monitor the functionality of the spotlights and the emergency generator system, and call for maintenance immediately upon knowledge of a burnt-out lamp or an issue with the generator.
SCP-457. Object Class: Keter. SCP-457 appears to be a sentient being composed of flame. Its actual composition is unknown and has proven to be invisible and undetectable by any known means, but is shaped out by the flames it produces, often assuming a human-like form if given sufficient fuel to assume that size. SCP-457's most rudimentary form appears to be that of a single flame, comparable in size to that of a matchstick. In this form, SCP-457 possesses only the simplest of directives and shows no sign of being unusual compared to any other flame. As SCP-457 grows larger, it is able to assume more complex shapes, and its intelligence grows with size and fuel sources. SCP-457's method of intelligence is unknown, but upon reaching an approximately human size, it almost always assumes a human-like form surrounded by and composed of flames. SCP-457 has been observed to communicate through writing letters out of its own flames, charring them onto the wall or other surfaces, and more rarely through speech created via high pressure, superheated air, and the crackling and pops of flames. Once SCP-457 reaches an unknown threshold of size and fuel source, SCP-457 splits into two beings, and so on and so forth. However, multiple beings of SCP-457 are aggressive towards each other, and will either attempt to consume or extinguish their doubles, especially if there's only a limited amount of fuel at hand. SCP-457's behavior is largely predictable, as its goals are simply to acquire larger sources of fuel and to spread. The danger of SCP-457 comes from its ability to increase intelligence with size, and apparent ability to learn and mimic behaviors. It has also attempted to trick or reason with personnel to be released or have access to more fuel. SCP-457 is kept in a 5x5 meter chamber with no less than 9 inches of cumulative fireproofing via various materials upon all surfaces and a blast-proof observation window with an emergency blast shielding installed. The opening of the chamber must consist of at least 2 temperature-controlled and airtight chambers that may be sealed in case of emergency. SCP-457's chamber should be kept at a high humidity with a drainage system installed in the floor. SCP-457 is allowed a small structure upon the wall of its chamber that remains water-free, but only allows for minimal protection and preservation of form. All personnel entering SCP-457's chamber should be wearing at least Class A temperature-controlled flame-retardant sealed suits and enter in groups of 3, with 2 members equipped with high-grade blast shields and emergency fire extinguishers. Personnel should only enter SCP-457's chamber in order to supply SCP-457 with its daily allotment of fuel material, or to examine and repair any damage to the chamber or sprinkler systems. SCP-457 was recovered in the summer of 2007, after multiple fires were attributed to it. It is unknown how SCP-457 initially formed. Investigation into the potential of SCP-457 being responsible for other major fires is underway.
SCP-409, Object Class Keter. SCP-409 resembles a large quartz crystal, approximately 5 feet tall and 2 feet wide. Any objects coming in contact with SCP-409 will begin to crystallize after 3 hours. This effect will occur in any material other than granite. The crystallization will spread by approximately 2.5 centimeters per minute, and will convert the entire object or organism inside and out. Subjects report this effect to be extremely painful and similar to frostbite. After complete crystallization, the object will begin to make snapping and creaking noises for approximately 20 minutes before bursting into thousands of fragments with great force. Anything touched by or touching a fragment will immediately begin to crystallize. Nothing at this time is able to reverse the effect in organic matter, including amputation of affected areas. SCP-409 was recovered in under a pile of crystal shards several feet deep. Losses of personnel during recovery were high. SCP-201, Object Class Euclid. SCP-201 appears to be a very old piece of medical equipment, superficially resembling an IV stand, but with many other glass and metal items attached to it. SCP-201 stands 6 feet tall and has a mass of 36.5 kilograms. SCP-201 was recovered in this hospital in a long unused storage area. No record of SCP-201 appears anywhere in hospital records. Entering within 30 meters of SCP-201 can result in the subject being displaced into an alternate reality. This effect is apparently random, with some subjects remaining totally ineffective after exposure to SCP-201. Those affected will cease to exist in our reality between 1 and 48 hours after initial exposure. Durations of displacement vary between a few hours and upwards of 8 years. Time spent in this alternate reality can vary greatly from actual time elapsed in our reality. This alternate world appears identical to our own, but is apparently in a state of constant twilight, with no sun or moon visible at any time. There is no plant or animal life anywhere. All places of human habitation, including major cities, appear as if all life suddenly vanished in the same instant. Most, if not all, electrical systems appear to be broken or without power. Subjects displaced in this alternate world report initial surprise and curiosity, which are shortly replaced with very strong feelings of loneliness and fear. The severity varies widely, with individual subjects and with time of displacement. Upon the end of displacement, subject will reintegrate from this alternate world to our own, which can cause a great deal of shock. Most subjects who remain displaced for more than 3 months suffer lasting psychological damage, consistent with being sequestered within solitary confinement. No personnel are to come within 40 meters of SCP-201 at any time. Any and all work done with SCP-201 is to be performed via remotely controlled drones. Any personnel entering the containment area must be accompanied by 2 members of security, and must wear a restraint harness with safety ropes attached to the wall. Those affected by SCP-201 are to have the time and date of exposure, disappearance, and return, along with any and all personal information, recorded in Log 33. Subjects who reappear are to be recovered as soon as possible by agents and debriefed immediately. SCP-303, Object Class Euclid. Witnesses describe SCP-303 as a nude, sexless, emaciated humanoid figure with reddish-brown skin. Instead of normal facial features, its head is dominated by an extremely large mouth, which bears a set of oversized human teeth. It continually vocalizes a wheezing noise, loud enough to be heard from the other side of most solid doors. All individuals who have had encounters with SCP-303 are capable of describing it in full, including individuals who have not physically seen any part of it. SCP-303 will periodically materialize behind any closed door, hatch, or other entryway barrier opposite a sentient observer, chosen by unknown means. SCP-303 will then remain behind the door for an indeterminate amount of time. Any individual attempting to open the door or barrier experiences intense, paralyzing fear that lasts until SCP-303 dematerializes. The source of this fear is not known, but appears to be similar in nature to arachnophobia and ophidiophobia, originating on a pre-conscious genetic level. SCP-303 does not allow itself to come into direct visual contact with any observer, and has never allowed any one individual to view more than 10% of its form. As SCP-303 has not yet been known to travel beyond the boundaries of Site-13, the entire area of the site is currently considered SCP-303's containment area. All rooms are to be altered where possible, so as to have 2 entrances separated by a distance of 10 meters or line of sight. Personnel are to be distributed evenly throughout the facility, with available radio or intercom contact, so that encounters may be resolved quickly. Personnel who witness SCP-303 are to be submitted for immediate psychiatric evaluation.
SCP-847, Object Class Euclid. SCP-847 resembles a human female mannequin. Researchers have been unable to determine if the missing pieces are due to injury, degradation, or attack. SCP-847 is normally dominant, unless it's in close proximity to a human female. SCP-847 will animate under these circumstances, and will make every attempt to reach the human female, exhibiting unnatural strength, immense destructive activity, and total single-mindedness. SCP-847's only known vulnerability is high-capacity electricity. Judicious application of electricity will render SCP-847 temporarily dormant. SCP-847 is kept inside a locked room reinforced with vanadium steel and concrete. In addition, SCP-847 must be kept chained up to at least 4 of the 12 electricity live hardpoints in the room at all times. No female personnel are permitted within a 100-meter radius of SCP-847. SCP-847 was discovered, apparently inert, in a remote location in the hills of the Mojave Desert on A female hiker who had gone missing was discovered near the Mannequin, apparently killed by massive blunt force trauma. Enough evidence existed for the police to connect the killing to the Mannequin. Luckily, SCP operatives caught wind of the event during the preliminary investigation, before SCP-847 had been taken from the crime scene and potentially allowed to become active. The discovery stands as a perfect example of how and why close adherence to public surveillance procedures is necessary for the continued success of the entire organization.
Radio transmission, 411 days ago.
Who's the girl in the cell of 847? Nickname Kevin. 2 siblings, 1 younger brother, 1 younger sister. Joined the SCP Foundation as a field agent. The reasons for entering and endangering it still remains unclear. Have there been any other reports of her breaking into containment cells? Yes, sir. We reported several other cells. So it's 9, 5. I'm gonna redline this operation, Sergeant. Find the girl, interrogate her, and then kill her. Don't worry, sir. I'll silence the girl.
SCP-939. Object Class Keter. SCP-939 are endothermic pack-based predators, which display an atrophy of various systems, similar to troglodytic organisms. The skins of SCP-939 are highly permeable to moisture and translucent red, owing to the compound chemically similar to hemoglobin. SCP-939 average 2.2 meters tall standing upright and weigh an average of 250 kilograms. Each of their 4 limbs end in 3-fingered claws with a 4th opposable digit, and are covered in setae which considerably augment climbing ability. SCP-939 do not possess any vital organ systems. Central and peripheral nervous system, circulatory system, and digestive tract are all absent. SCP-939 have no apparent physiological need to feed, nor any way to digest consumed tissue. Ingested material typically accumulates in the respiratory system of SCP-939 and is regurgitated once the amount is sufficient to markedly inhibit its function. SCP-939's primary method of luring prey is the imitation of human speech in the voices of prior victims, though imitations of other species and active nocturnal hunts have been documented. How SCP-939 acquire voices is not currently understood. Specimens have been documented imitating victims despite never hearing the victims speak. The use of biometric voice recognition security or identification systems at any installation housing SCP-939 is strongly discouraged for this reason. Prey is usually killed with a single bite to the cranium or neck. SCP-939 specimens are kept in containment chambers which are environmentally regulated and negatively pressurized, with walls constructed of reinforced concrete. Access to these cells is regulated by an outer decontamination chamber and inner gas-tight steel security doors. Observation windows are constructed of laminated ballistics glass, 10 centimeters in thickness and protected by 100 kilovolts electrified mesh. Humidity is maintained at 100% at temperatures of 16 degrees Celsius. Specimens are monitored at all times. Containment cells should be cleaned bi-weekly. While this takes place, SCP-939 specimens will be transferred to the adjacent cell. During this time, the cell's doors and observation window must be inspected for damage and repaired or replaced accordingly. Heavy sedation of all SCP-939 is required before any interaction, including transfer between cells and experimentation, may take place. Level C hazmat gears to be worn by personnel during interactions with SCP-939 specimens and in any areas which SCP-939 have been known to inhabit.
SCP-2059 Object Class Euclid. SCP-2059 is an autonomous and sentient mass of flesh, bones, and organs. The entire mass is seemingly dominated by a large yellow sensory organ that does not correspond to that of any known species. The organ resembles an eye in composition, but further study has shown that it is capable of detecting infrared radiation and heat signatures. SCP-2059 appears capable of rearranging itself at will, but normally it follows a usual composition. SCP-2059 does not require extraneous sustenance. Any living creature touching SCP-2059 will be absorbed into its mass, but keratinous material, such as skin, hair, and nails, are discarded. At present date, SCP-2059 consists of 1 blue whale, 1 giant squid, 2 bottlenose dolphins, several specimens of various livestock, approximately 30 human beings, 1 dead human being in advanced stages of decomposition, several specimens of various pets, approximately 300 rodents, and an undetermined amount of insects. SCP-2059 has a tendency of attempting to fill a space completely if it is confined in one. This is assumed to be to help it retain cohesiveness. SCP-2059 exhibits highly aggressive behavior towards all human and animal life. It will attempt to either kill or assimilate any organisms on sight. Despite SCP-2059 having multiple sets of vital organs, it does not appear to be using most of them. PET tracer scans have shown that almost 85% of all organs within SCP-2059 are inactive and unused. SCP-2059 is contained within a modified containment area designed for Class 4 hostile amorphous entities. The unit must be comprised of a shaft 40 meters deep and 15 meters in diameter, composed of high-gloss steel plating. The opening of this shaft is covered with a shock-proof plexiglass plate that can be removed remotely. Additionally, the containment unit is equipped with necessary video and audio surveillance equipment, as well as a speaker system in order to facilitate communication with SCP-2059. A verbal connection was made with SCP-2059. The following is an audio recording of the event.
Archival recording, 14 days ago.
Hello, SCP-2059. This is Dr. of the Foundation. I'm in an observation booth above you. You should be able to see me. Can you answer some questions? Who did you ask? What child? What do you mean? How are you able to tell that? Our scans and reports show that SCP-2059 does not use more of itself. Why is that? Where has he come from? How are you sane if all other individuals aren't?
SCP-973, Object Class Euclid. SCP-973 consists of two entities. SCP-973-1 is a police cruiser, resembling those used by state troopers in the early 1970s. The vehicle appears to be in an advanced state of disrepair. Eyewitness accounts have consistently mentioned large dents in the doors and hood, a heavily cracked windshield, heavy rusting, and a loose rear bumper secured with duct tape. SCP-9732 is reported as a Caucasian male in his late 40s, wearing a state trooper uniform dating from the same time period as SCP-9731. SCP-973 will manifest at night when another vehicle enters the designated territory, and is believed to be triggered by the target vehicle accelerating over a certain speed. This limit varies, with the average being in the area of 88.5 kilometers per hour, 55 miles per hour. It can range anywhere between 53.3 kilometers per hour, or 35 miles per hour, and 112.7 kilometers per hour, or 70 miles per hour. No predictable pattern or connection between differing limits has been found as of yet. When this limit is broken, SCP-973 will appear approximately 0.4 kilometers behind the target vehicle, and will chase down the target at high speed with the siren and flashers on. This is accompanied by a looping message played in the target's radio, consisting of the phrase, "Run." In most cases, the target will flee with SCP-973 in pursuit, and will be overtaken in minutes. At this point, SCP-973 will attempt to. The remains of 34 individuals and 19 vehicles have been found within 6.4 kilometers of the affected roadway. The range of damage done to bodies includes evisceration, rape. 5 survivors are within Foundation custody, all suffering from varying degrees of mental trauma. The recovered vehicles showcase heavy impact damage, both environmental and inflicted, and severe burn damage to the interior. SCP-973's nature precludes it from full containment within the Foundation due to the danger it presents. The 60-kilometer stretch of U.S. route on which it is known to manifest is under satellite surveillance at all times. Any vehicles attempting to travel the designated section of highway between 22 hours and 0430 hours are to be diverted to the detours at exits and by Foundation personnel. Trespassers are to be forcibly arrested and detained if the need arises. SCP-973's area of effect seems to be expanding, as does the window of time that manifestations occur. Security protocols have been adapted to this.
SCP-280. Object Class: Keter. SCP-280 is a black human-shaped mass with 2 large white eyes on the head and 2 hands with very long, thin fingers. No feet or legs are visible as the lower portion of the body appears to fade away several centimeters from the ground. SCP-280 appears to be comprised of matter that can gain or lose corporeal form. This matter is very black, with only the eyes showing any other color, and when changing to a non-corporeal form, looks much like smoke. The eyes are non-functioning and appear only when SCP-280 is retreating, appearing to be used like eye spots on some insects. SCP-280 is very strong and has been observed pulling apart steel with its hands, showing no signs of stress. SCP-280 will slowly move towards any human beings and attempt to attack them. It will approach within 14 centimeters of a subject and then use its hands to pull and tear at the subject, causing massive physical trauma. The attack can last between 1 and 5 minutes and will continue until death of the subject, at which point SCP-280 will expose its eyes, lose corporeal form, and move to the next human. If no humans are present, SCP-280 will move and ball up against a wall or other structure until a human being is again present. SCP-280 will retreat slowly from light, exposing its eyes in the direction of the light or any nearby humans. If the area that SCP-280 currently resides in becomes fully illuminated, SCP-280 will fade away and reappear in another area. This appears to be done purely as a defensive response to light and will not be used to follow or attack prey. SCP-280 does not appear to eat, breathe, or sleep. It does not ingest any of the tissue removed during an attack and simply drops it to tear a new piece. Due to its ability to become incorporeal at will and its aggressive nature, no samples of SCP-280 have been collected. SCP-280 is contained in a 5x5 meter cell, and no equipment of any kind is to be left inside when staff are not present. Containment area is to be kept in total darkness at all times. Any items taken into the containment cell must be removed by staff at the end of testing, and any staff entering into the containment chamber must wear infrared goggles and be equipped with an infrared ID strobe and a strong flashlight. SCP-280 was recovered in Mississippi after several reports of locked room murders. All were reported as being extremely vicious, and victims were horribly mangled. The Foundation became involved after a report of a poltergeist was reported in a nearby home. SCP-076. Object Class: Keter. SCP-076 consists of 2 components, a stone cube, SCP-0761, and a humanoid entity contained within, SCP-0762. All surfaces outside and within SCP-0761 are covered in deeply engraved patterns corresponding to no known civilizations. Radioscope analysis indicates that the object is approximately 10,000 years old. A door is located on one side, sealed with a lock 0.5 meters in width, surrounded by 20 smaller rocks in a circular pattern. Directly in the center of the room is a 2.13 meter tall stone coffin, held in place and sealed shut by several chains of unknown make and substance, which are attached to the inner corners of SCP-0761. SCP-0762 resembles a lean Semitic human male, hair black and eyes gray, skin tone olive. Subject is 1.96 meters in height and 81.65 kilograms in weight. Numerous tattoos depicting arcane and occult iconography are present all over the body and ranges from subtle to openly ostentatious. Occasionally, SCP-0762 will awaken, effectively reanimating. Subject will then attempt to leave SCP-0761. If successful, subject will enter a trance state and seek out the nearest human being, ignoring all other living things in the process. Upon coming into contact with humans, SCP-0762 will enter a rage state in which it attempts to engage and kill all human beings encountered. Terminating SCP-0762 is often problematic due to its significant physical abilities. Subject has superhuman strength and speed, and although not invulnerable, has shown a remarkable ability to ignore pain and shock. To date, only the subject's death has been shown to be effective in ending these rampages. SCP-0762's most unusual ability, however, is its ability to apparently materialize bladed weapons out of nowhere. Slow-motion video footage reveals that the blades in question are actually pulled from a miniature dimensional rift described as a small hole in space. Where this portal leads to is unknown, as is how SCP-0762 is capable of generating said rifts. Footage of the blades in question shows them to be made out of a completely non-reflective black material, appearing as a black void in space. As the blades rapidly vanish after leaving the subject's possession, no structural analysis is possible at this time. Upon death, SCP-0762's remains will putrefy rapidly. SCP-0761 and the coffin within will then slam shut with great force, and the lock will rotate, sealing it shut. SCP-0762 will then reform within the coffin, a process taking anywhere from 6 hours to 25 years. SCP-076 was found in Mongolia in 1856 by archaeologists from England. All members of the expedition were subsequently killed on the return voyage home. SCP-076 was recovered from a ship by the Society and placed on display in the inner sanctum. SCP-076 remained in storage for 20 years until SCP-0762 became active and escaped. The reason for SCP-076's activation is currently unknown, but it was at this point that the keys to the outer shell were lost. A massive manhunt lasting over 3 years took place until SCP-0762 was incapacitated and killed, causing it to be reformed inside SCP-0761. It was at this time that it was retrieved and secured by the agents of the SCP Foundation. SCP-076 is contained in an area located 200 meters below sea level, tunneled out of solid bedrock in a seismologically stable area. Elevator shafts shall be flooded with seawater when not in use. SCP-231. Object Class Keter. SCP-231-1 through SCP-2317 is made up of 7 young women which were retrieved by the Foundation from a warehouse owned by the Children of the Scarlet King, described as a satanic sex cult by newspapers. They are pregnant with an unknown horror that could result in an XK-class end-of-the-world scenario if they gave birth, die, or the fetus was removed. SCP-2311 gave birth to an SCP with a double digit, and the Foundation personnel took the remaining SCPs 2312 through 7 and used a Montauk procedure to prevent further occurrences. To keep them from giving birth, Procedure 110 Montauk has to be conducted every 24 hours, which involves eliciting intensive negative emotional responses by whatever means necessary. After the failure to contain and prevent repeated escape and suicide attempts of SCP-2312 through 6, the containment of SCP-2317 has been amended to the following instructions. SCP-231 is to be contained within a soundproof holding cell, adjacent to the holding cells for 6 Class D personnel assigned for the purpose of the Procedure 110 Montauk. Cameras are to be manned 24 hours a day and monitor every inch of the cell at all times. Malfunctioning monitoring equipment will be replaced without delay, and doors will be magnetically locked, only to be opened by positive action by the control and monitoring facility. SCP-2317 is to be restrained in a hospital bed at all times, except for the purposes of the Procedure 110 Montauk. The subject is provided with hydration through IV drip and fed using a feeding tube approved by medical personnel who have not taken the Hippocratic Oath. Once every 24 hours, Procedure 110 Montauk is to be carried out by Class D personnel and must return to their holding cells or explosive collars will be detonated. XK class is formerly meant a religious eschatological scenario, which is corroborated in notebooks recovered from the cultists on in which is 7 brides, 7 seals, which is a reference to the Book of Revelation. In Revelation, opening the 7 seals of the apocalypse releases judgments and cataclysmic events. When the 7th is opened, the world is destroyed. These girls are the seals, and they've all been opened except the last one. The existence of the world depends on SCP-2317, and she'll die eventually, and the Foundation doesn't know what will happen then. SCP-966. Object Class: Euclid. SCP-966 are predatory creatures that resemble hairless digitigrade humans, possessing an elongated face with a mouth lined with needle-like teeth. On each hand they have 5 claws that can be up to 20 centimeters long. Although sharp, these are easily broken, making them unfit for combat. SCP-966 height ranges from 1.40 to 1.60 meters. Physically, SCP-966 are weak, possessing hollow bones and low muscular density. They do not seem to rest through sleep. Instead, they will suddenly cease all movement at seemingly random intervals of time, resuming normal activity 3 to 5 minutes later. SCP-966 feed on medium to large-sized animals, including humans. They hunt either alone or in pairs. Their hunting methods consist on emitting a single burst of a previously unknown type of wave which permanently inhibits the ability of the affected creature to enter in any of the REM sleep stages. After depriving their victims of sleep, SCP-966 will stalk their prey until the lack of rest incapacitates it. At this point, SCP-966 will proceed to consume it. SCP-966 have proved to be very agile and silent while stalking their victims. On occasion, they will deliberately make threatening noises around the prey in order to further stress it, and may even physically assault it if the victim proves to be particularly durable. Other than the common symptoms caused by sleep deprivation, some victims of SCP-966 have shown signs of suffering from extremely vivid hallucinations, as well as sudden bouts of rage with no apparent external stimuli. It is currently thought that these are the effects of prolonged exposure to the waves they produce. Why SCP-966 continually exposes these waves to only some of the victims is unknown. One hypothesis is that SCP-966 will only do this when starving, since it further degenerates the physical and mental state of the prey, incapacitating it at a faster rate. Wild instances of SCP-966 are found all over the world. Since their discovery, the Foundation has succeeded in greatly thinning their numbers, though they're still found in large quantities and confirmations have reported that human sleep paralysis are the aforementioned effects of SCP-966 appearing in your home. Although you may feel awake, your body is briefly paralyzed, after which point you cannot move, see, or speak. The paralysis can last from a few seconds to several minutes. At this point, SCP-966 will have fled. Some people have sleep paralysis once or twice in their life, while others experience it a few times a month or more regularly.
SCP-058. Object Class: Keter. SCP-058 resembles a bovine heart with 4 arthropod-like legs used primarily for movement, and 4 tentacles of adjustable length, covered with razor-sharp spines. It has a single sharp stinger on its rear, where the hole for the superior vena cava would be used in a typical organ. SCP-058's tentacles can be whipped at speeds of excess of 320 kilometers per hour. SCP-058 is extremely hostile and will use every opportunity afforded to it to inflict damage on its surroundings. SCP-058 has been shown to be highly resilient to trauma and should be approached with caution, even when apparently incapacitated. SCP-058 is highly mobile and capable of rapid movement on both horizontal and vertical surfaces. It has been recorded of reaching a speed of approximately 90 kilometers per hour, or 55 miles per hour, in short bursts, covering distances of up to 200 meters, and has the ability to accelerate from 0 to 90 kilometers per hour in less than 2 seconds. SCP-058 speaks in a human voice, though no method of producing this sound has been observed in its physiology. It speaks with vocal tone and the accent of an elderly British male with a slight lisp and a deep voice. SCP-058 talks constantly, regardless of conditions, even when attacking. SCP-058's voice and pace of speech are unchanged. The speech of SCP-058 lacks any detectable correlation to events, persons, or exterior locations involved with SCP-058. SCP-058 is kept in isolation. Walls are to be constructed of 10-foot reinforced heat-resistant steel, backed with a further 33 feet of reinforced concrete. SCP-058 is to be fed a live cow every 3 days. Maintenance is to be conducted every 60 minutes while SCP-058 is dormant, and every 15 minutes when SCP-058 is active. Under no circumstances is SCP-058 to be allowed out of its containment area. SCP-058 is to be audio and video recorded at all times. No personnel are to listen to SCP-058 for more than 30 minutes at a time. In case of escape, the facility is to be considered compromised and detonation of on-site nuclear weaponry is to commence. To date, SCP-058 has been responsible for the death of at least 149 Class D personnel and 14 agents at its current site.
Archival recording, 351 days ago.
I had dreams of the Queen, wonders that lived inside the hearth of love and silent treatments of all the elderly that I knew were once whole.
What is your name?
I seek the revelations of all that the holy told to the unwise. In the dreams of old embers, in sunlight that fade across lakes of black blood and snakes that eat the loaves of children from mad trees in autumn.
What is your name?
Endless suffering is the woe of ignorant men who never learn to seek the depth of their own hearts and only see the wealth of the whole world. Suffering to flames who ragged knife wounds of silver and brutal gladness.
Where are you from?
The nightmare is a dream of the nameless slug that wanders across my field and the remains of deer and kings. Nightshade shadows evolve on his blinks that sword prominent inside those milk and trees before anything was ever
Let him go!
In seconds the sun is beating like drums in all hearts. In the ear of noise. The sensual flames of lust is all the assurance you will ever need to know the wealth of life.
SCP-682 Object Class Keter. SCP-682 is a large, vaguely reptilian creature of unknown origin. It appears to be extremely intelligent and was observed to engage in complex communication with SCP-079 during their limited time of exposure. SCP-682 appears to have a hatred of all life, which has been expressed in several interviews during containment. SCP-682's physical body grows and changes very quickly, increasing or decreasing in size as it consumes or sheds material. SCP-682 gains energy from anything it ingests, organic or inorganic. Digestion seems to be aided by a set of filtering gills inside of SCP-682's nostrils, which are able to remove usable matter from any liquid solution, enabling it to constantly regenerate from the acid it is contained in. SCP-682 must be destroyed as soon as possible. At this time, no means available to the Foundation are capable of destroying SCP-682. SCP-682 is contained within a 5 meter by 5 meter chamber with 25 centimeter reinforced acid-resistant steel plate lining, all inside surfaces. The containment chamber should be filled with hydrochloric acid until SCP-682 is submerged and incapacitated. Any attempts of SCP-682 to move, speak, or breach containment should be reacted to promptly and with full force as called for by the circumstances. Personnel are forbidden to speak to SCP-682 for fear of provoking a rage state. All unauthorized personnel attempting to communicate with SCP-682 will be restrained and removed by force.
Archival recording, 351 days ago.
Now, why did you kill those farmers? If you don't talk now, we will remove you from this attempt and place you back into... Pardon? Speak up. That microphone has only so much gain. Move it closer to it.
SCP-354. Object Class: Heater. SCP-354 is a pool of red liquid discovered in northern Canada. The liquid is of a consistency similar to that of human blood, but it is not of a biological nature. The liquid becomes denser as one descends deeper into the pool. If the pool has a bottom, it has yet to be reached. Periodically, entities emerge from the pool and attempt to escape from the enclosure. Thus far, nearly all the creatures emerging from SCP-354 have been extremely hostile and highly dangerous. SCP-354 is believed to have been first discovered by survivors of a plane crash who encountered SCP-354 by chance. SCP-354 had developed into a local urban legend long before Foundation personnel arrived to deal with the threat. After locating the source of the legend, SCP personnel set up Watch Station Epsilon to monitor the pool and to deter future travelers from finding it. SCP-354 was classified as Euclid until its properties were further discovered. At 1400 hours, an unidentified entity emerged from SCP-354. Contact with Watch Station Epsilon was lost. Mobile task forces were dispatched to deal with the entity, and they were eventually successful. All personnel at Watch Station Epsilon were found dead. Area 354 was subsequently constructed to contain SCP-354. The SCP Foundation has authorized permission for public viewing on some of the entities that have emerged from the liquid. 18 different creatures have thus far been spawned from SCP-354 since the Foundation took over the area. SCP-3541 resembled a giant bat, but was neutralized by the Mobile Task Force. SCP-3542 was a bear-sized mammalian creature, covered in razor-sharp spines, and was neutralized via napalm. SCP-3543 was a black metallic sphere capable of levitation. It emitted concentrated levels of radiation in precisely directed beams to instantly cripple and kill its victims. It was struck with a sledgehammer, but self-detonated, causing minor structural damage. SCP-3544 was a humanoid reptilian creature, approximately 4.6 meters tall, and escaped the enclosure. Gunfire caused it very little harm. Mobile Task Force Omega finally managed to neutralize it. However, due to data corruption, information regarding SCP-3547 through SCP-35413 can no longer be found. Additionally, no information on SCP-35417 exists. What this means is unknown, though it can be assumed that it befell the same fate as the other missing entities. SCP-1. Object Class Keter. SCP-1 is a humanoid entity, approximately 700 cubits in height, located in an undisclosed location near the intersection of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The following features are known about the entity: a number of luminous wing-like appendages emerging from the shoulders, back, temples, ankles, and wrists of the entity. Although an accurate count has never been established, most observers place the number of wings at anywhere from 2 to 108. A weapon was also mentioned, appearing to emit flames at a temperature rivaling that of the sun. Based on spectrographic analysis, although there appears to be no destructive effects from the intense heat on the surrounding area, any entity that approaches within 1 kilometer of SCP-1 is immediately struck by the weapon and obliterated from existence. Any and all hostile actions taken towards SCP-1 have resulted in the annihilation of the attacker, regardless of range. SCP-1 appears to be standing with its head bowed in a gesture of supplication, with the weapon held in both hands. Since originally recorded by the founder over years ago, SCP-1 has not deviated from this stance. Human beings exposed to SCP-1 report hearing a voice in their heads, giving them a directive which the subject reports cannot be disobeyed. The most common directive is forget, which results in the subject walking away from SCP-1 with no memory of having encountered it. On rare occasions, however, the other directives have been given. The most famous of these is the one given to the founder, prepare, which he has claimed formed the impetus for founding and containing any and all supernatural and paranormal artifacts that represent a serious threat to the current existence of humanity. This is the organization now known as the SCP Foundation. Observers have reported that SCP-1 appears to be standing in front of a gate of immense proportions. Long-range photographs have occasionally detected what appears to be a pastoral grove within, containing numerous other entities of the same composition as SCP-1, as well as several fruit trees. Of particular note are 2 fruit trees of immense proportions near what appears to be the center of the grove. One, it is noted, appears to be an ordinary apple tree, although the other bears a fruit unknown on Earth, described as... It is the avowed belief of the founder that the gate which SCP-1 guards may be the gate based on correlations with ancient Babylonian texts and the Dead Sea Scrolls, in which case one can deduce that the entity known as SCP-1 may be